Have you ever thought to yourself, am I going crazy because someone made you feel like everything was your fault?
If so, you might be getting gaslit. And trust me, it is way more common than you think.
Welcome back to the Touch My Health podcast. My name's Matt.
I'm Katie.
Today we're going to be talking about gaslighting.
Right. So, what is gaslighting? And let's get into it. Gaslighting is emotional manipulation that causes you to question your reality, your memory, even your sanity.
Yeah, that's questioning your sanity is all part of gaslighting. It's not just lying, it's when someone repeatedly makes you feel like you're wrong, even when you know you're not. And over time, you start believing it.
Yeah, the term actually comes from a movie. It's a movie that was in 1944, and it was a film called Gaslight, where a husband literally manipulates his wife into thinking she's going insane.
Oh, wow, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah,
There's a
let's watch
great
it.
band called the Gaslight Anthem. Shout out to them. Uh, anyway, gaslighting is now become a buzzword, but the real thing is devastating. It's
Yeah,
used in relationships, work, even in families. Gaslighting has become very common.
right. Can you remember a time that you were being gaslit without even realizing it at the time? Maybe when you look back.
Yeah, there were a few times that I can remember before I even knew what gaslighting was,
Mhm.
but came along with growing up in an abusive household where I can remember me seeing something, me seeing my mother doing illegal activities, and she's like, "No, you didn't see that. That's no, go back to bed. You're
You're
or
just
you're
sleepwalking.
just yeah, you don't remember."
You're a dumb kid.
Yeah, and again in my marriage too, before I knew, what gaslighting was, I was made to believe that what I saw I didn't really see or how I remembered it wasn't true. And I'm like, no,
Hmm.
it made me question my own sanity.
Yeah, I can remember many times before I knew what gaslighting was, being told that I did something, and then I sit there and I'm like, no, no, I didn't. Or having a hard time recollecting
Mhm.
what I was told that I did that was either, awful or something. And I'm looking back and thinking, I'm like, well, I do not recall it like that. But you question yourself. And then one time I found out something through like social media that the person I was with at the time
Mhm.
was going to like a strip club or something. And he hadn't told me that. And when I asked him about it, he lied and then tried to gaslight me and was like, "Do you want me to take a picture in front of the place I'm at right now?" Knowing damn well where he was, and it
Right.
wasn't in front of a grocery store or wherever the hell he said he was. And that kind of manipulation to get you to question yourself to be like, well, if they're saying that, then I guess that means that they're really doing what they
Yeah.
say they're doing. No, they're not. They're bullshitting. They're
Right.
bullshitting.
That's that lying and manipulating to get you to question yourself and question your own sanity.
In your reality, what you think and know is
Mhm.
real.
Yep. The one time that I can remember in my marriage is when I saw this was the beginning of the end. I saw my ex-wife now, but my wife at the time touching the neighbor in an affectionate way. And I saw it through the window, like they were just outside kind of hanging out on the patio, drinking whatever. And I had went in to go get us another round of beers, and I see her touch him in a way that is not, it's more than friendly.
Right.
And this was, when I realized that there probably was something going on anyway. After that night, I confronted her about it the next morning, and I was like, "This is what I saw. I saw you touching him in, you know, a very affectionate way that like she was rubbing his leg or something, and she's like, "No, you didn't see that. That's no, you didn't."
No, you didn't.
And
Your eyes are lying
I'm
to
like,
you.
okay, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't.
Oh my God. That makes me think of there was like a thread either on Twitter or something, I can't remember. I had seen it on another video and it was like most outrageous gaslighting lies. And this girl walks in on her boyfriend who's cheating on her, and he says to her, "Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes?" Like,
Oh wow.
oh my God.
Yeah, your
So
eyes.
you're going to make someone question their own vision.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
exactly what they're seeing. Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you think?
Insane.
What do you think made you finally wake up and realize what was happening? Like, was there a point to where I know for me, I can remember when I realized what was happening because I looked up what gaslighting was and how I came about it. Do you have that same
No,
realization point?
no, it wasn't until I filed for divorce and figured out that what gaslighting was many years later. So I didn't know at the time what it meant or what it was. I just know that I was being lied to. I just assumed it was lying, which
Right.
gaslighting is lying, but it's also that manipulation part of it too.
Yeah, it's not an outright lie, it's a manipulation of a lie.
Hmm.
It's like when people say, well, I didn't lie, I didn't tell you. Well, lying by omission is still lying.
100%.
When I realized what was happening is because I started Googling, my significant other is doing this or saying this. What does this mean? Or trying to just figure out if it was me or if it was something else. And that's when the term I found came up, gaslighting. And that's what led me down the narcissist road too.
Oh,
Because generally, someone who's doing a lot of gaslighting and a lot of that emotional manipulation, they're displaying narcissistic tendencies. That is definitely part of that.
it's
So that's how I
interesting.
realized
That's
it.
interesting that gaslighting and narcissism kind of go hand in hand.
Makes sense.
It does.
So I want you to say, though, some real examples of what gaslighting phrases that people might hear all the time. So that way people can, if you're still like, I don't know, like what are some things that people would hear?
A couple that I can think of is like, oh, that never happened. You remember it wrong.
Mm.
You're overreacting because, or you're so sensitive.
You know
Nobody
what?
else has a problem with this, just you. Things like that, where those are a couple of the sayings that I can remember being
Mhm.
told that, growing up. Oh, you didn't see it. You remember that wrong.
Well, out of the ones you just said, I'm sure you know the one that gets to me. It's a little trigger point. What do you think it is?
The you're so sensitive one.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. You're too sensitive. You're so sensitive. No, 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 no. Sorry. That's your backwards way of trying to say that my feelings are invalidated
right.
because of your actions. Or yeah, you don't remember, you remembering it wrong. I remember hearing that too when I tried to say like I don't remember, that's not how I remember this. That's not what happened. Well, you're remembering it wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody else saw this and you're the one that remembers it wrong.
Or they
You know.
play the you were drunk game, so you don't remember it.
Yeah, right. But when someone hears this enough or those types of lines, they stop trusting themselves and their thoughts. And
Hmm.
and that's the goal of gaslighting. The goal of gaslighting is control through confusion.
Oh, I love
Control
that.
through confusion.
Yeah, that's accurate. The control through confusion makes you distrust yourself
Hmm.
and start questioning your own mind and your own thoughts.
Yeah,
And that's where that manipulation really takes a toll on your own mental health and really starts to bring you down because you're like, maybe I'm going crazy.
yeah. And you're
And
not.
you're trying not to question that person because your first thought is to keep that connection, but you start to question yourself first
Right.
versus questioning that other person.
I can remember though, I was not a perfect person at one point in time. I'm not a perfect person now, but when I think back to when I figured out what gaslighting was, and now as I've grown up and matured, and, you know, we have matured as couples or
Hmm.
as a couple, and then our history and our relationships,
Hmm.
I can look back and remember saying things that were very gaslighty to previous partners. Have you ever said something that looking back could have been gaslighting? Because I know I'm guilty. I can look back and say, unfortunately, I did those things too.
Offhand, I can't, but that's not to say that I haven't. Uh,
I
yeah,
think
that's a
that
good question. I probably have. I mean, at some point, I'm sure.
just I do remember the you're overreacting. I know I have said that at when I was and it's when I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. Just very honest, I was doing things I should not be doing. And yeah, I at the time I didn't know what that was, and I don't think in the back of my mind I was trying to be malicious, even though I knew what I was doing was wrong.
Yeah,
But trying to save face when you get caught, those are a lot of things too that come out, and people gaslight because they don't want to accept responsibility and they don't want to hold themselves accountable. And the other really dark side of that is they're
yeah.
shit human beings too.
I guess that brings up a memory for me too, is I'm sure when my ex and I split up the first time and I told her that I was cheating on her, I'm sure I wasn't ready to accept that responsibility. So I'm sure there was some gaslighting in there. There had to have been. I just, it's been 15 years, so I can't
Right.
remember. But I'm sure because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to accept that responsibility. I was more in the manipulation and hurtful
Hmm.
era where I just wanted to hurt her so we could be apart. And I'm sure that's where some
Yeah.
some of the gaslighting from me came in. I just can't remember.
And I feel like like everything we're talking about, I feel confident in the things I'm saying too, because I can look at it from the perspective of I've done some of these things before
Uh,
and I've had these things done to me. So I can understand both perspectives, and one is not right over the
right.
other, but you can
Experience
definitely
plays,
see how it looks from all sides.
yeah, and experience will let you,
Mhm.
see both sides.
And what do you think the difference is between someone just disagreeing with you and someone gaslighting you?
Well, disagreements, I mean, that can be easily portrayed as, I don't agree with something you said, but gaslighting is different in the fact that you are telling me how I remember something, or that I'm wrong in the way that I remember it, or you didn't see that. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Disagreeing is yes versus no, uh, and you can have that,
Hmm.
but the gaslighting is the manipulation.
Well, and to me, disagreeing with someone, you can still have a level of respect. Like, I may not agree with you, but I will respect what you're saying, and I'm not
Sure.
going to try to invalidate your feelings
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
make you think you're going insane. Whereas
Right.
gaslighting is no respect. I am trying to intentionally manipulate you mentally into thinking either my reality, what I want you to think, or questioning yourself. So that way, maybe at another point in time, you won't even come to me with things like this because you
Right.
will automatically question yourself and you
Hmm.
won't want to bring it up to me because it'll start an argument.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And disagreeing is just mostly opinion based, and you're allowed to have an opinion.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I love that.
I know I used to try to end arguments that were where I was being gaslit, and I would say often, why can't we just agree to disagree?
Hmm.
Because it wasn't a disagreement. There was nothing to agree to disagree on. It was him trying to manipulate how I was thinking to get
Hmm.
my thinking to match his.
Yep. So then that way, if this comes up again, just like you said, you won't
You won't,
say anything.
yeah, because you
And you
don't
won't
want the
question it.
argument.
Yeah. And you just will
Yeah.
bypass it the next time this comes up.
So that's a good segue too. Here's how to know if you might be experiencing gaslighting. Some of these things that you might be thinking or feeling.
Mhm.
What are some
Well,
things that?
a couple of them are when you constantly apologize,
Hmm.
even when you know you're not wrong or you're not sure why you're apologizing, you're still apologizing. You second guess your memory. That's, what we were talking about where you're saying that you didn't remember this right and you second guess yourself. You're feeling anxious or confused and you start hiding things or you feel like you're always walking on eggshells. And really the big one is where you feel like you've lost confidence in your own thinking
Hmm.
and your own mind.
Yeah. You feel like you lose confidence in yourself
Yeah, and
altogether.
and you're questioning every thought or every move.
Walking on eggshells is well, that was huge for me. I felt that a lot. I have felt that a
Hmm.
lot and I hated it. Hated it. I know I have friends that feel like that are in relationships right now with
Yeah,
people who gaslight them constantly. And yeah, they just feel so broken and lost and like they have to constantly walk on eggshells and just lost complete confidence in themselves. And even if one of these that we just said hits you really hard right now, pause the episode, go write it down. Sit with it for a second because that is your nervous system telling you something is not right.
yeah, and
Like,
that's the big thing about it too is being able to write it down and journal it. You did that with some of your past, and even our one big disagreement or our one we'll call it a fight, where you wrote down in a notebook and went through these thoughts and went through what happened and how you remember it happening. And journaling can really save that questioning.
I used to do that all the time in a previous marriage. I would write things down because I knew it was going to be an argument or it was an argument. So I was writing down everything that I could remember and what happened. So that way the next day too, I had it down on paper. And I remember after that relationship ended, I found, because I would get like yearly planners and I would write them in those. And I had kept them, and when I looked back through them, I mean, it was insane the amount of things that I had written down and the notes I'd taken and what I had told myself or said and the situations that happened and how I had to do that because someone kept trying to make me question my reality or say things happen that really they didn't happen the way they were saying it.
Yeah,
And like that gets frustrating. It gets really
very.
frustrating. I now, even today, wish that if I, you know, like part of me wishes I didn't have to write all that down, that I could just verbalize it without having to feel like I need to write it all down to make sure that I'm staying on track and that, I'm
Yeah.
I'm saying the right thing or whatever.
And that should be
But
a sign too that it's time to leave because people are not going to change. If they're gaslighting you and making you question your own sanity and questioning yourself, they don't respect you.
right.
And it's time to go because they're not going to change. Their
Mhm.
behavior's not going to change. They're going to tell you that they're going to change. They'll be the same in a week.
Right. So there is a quote that I love, and it says, words without actions is just manipulation, and refusing to be held accountable for them is gaslighting.
Bingo.
That's all it is.
So there's a psychology behind gaslighting. And the reason that it works is because your brain is wired for connection. It doesn't mean that you're weak or you're gullible. You just want that connection with your partner.
Right. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance, and you want to believe in the person you love and you want to believe that they're not hurting you. So when
Right.
they say that didn't happen, you push it away, because you're protecting the relationship. You're not protecting the reality at that point.
Yeah, you want to trust that person. Then the next one is trauma bonding. You get just enough love, just enough validation to stay, even when it's mostly manipulation.
Right. That is the perfect example of saying the words, saying sorry. Here, let me buy you some flowers. Let me be good for 2 weeks. Let me give you a little bit of that validation. But it's
Hmm.
manipulation. It's not sincere. And gaslighting becomes a cycle. It's just doubt, apologize, confusion, repeat. Doubt, apologize, confusion, repeat. It's
It's that
just a
what
vicious cycle.
it is a vicious cycle of questioning your own reality. So why do you think smart, strong people stay in these type of situations, these type of
Ooh,
relationships?
that's good.
You think it's the trust that they want?
Well, I think the people who do a lot of really hardcore gaslighting,
Hmm.
that starts from the beginning. To me, it starts with a lot of love bombing. You show the best versions of yourself. You're not really portraying the real true you under that mask. You have a mask on. And then once that person feels like they've kind of got you, or they feel more comfortable, start peeling that mask off, then it's like little by little the gaslighting will come.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people who just go straight in with it. I mean, I'm not sure, but to think of a person who you would think, oh my gosh, they're such a strong, smart, confident person. How did they get in this situation?
Hmm.
To me, that's saying that someone little by little picked away at them, and they knew because they knew in the beginning they couldn't go all in, or else you would have been gone.
Right.
They had to do something to create such a bond with you,
Hmm.
and a love and a trust from the get-go, that you when you get down the road, you're like, how did I even get here?
Yeah.
Like, how did we get here? And it was like that from the start. They just didn't show you who they truly were.
Right. And people can be anyone they want, they want you to think they are for about 3 months. I've said
Some
this.
more.
Yeah, I've said this to our daughters is anybody can portray the best of themselves for about 3 months, and then the real them starts coming out.
Right.
That's when you start to see who they truly are, and some of their manipulation or
Mhm.
gaslighting, or some of their real traits start to
Yeah.
come into play.
And even when you see it early on, sometimes we just ignore it because we play that game with ourselves where, well, they have more pros than cons, or
Hmm.
I really like this about them, so I'm going to ignore that.
Yeah.
I know for me, and one of my, I hate saying one of my marriages, in a marriage, there were signs early on. There were. And I ignored them. I ignored them all. And I made excuses for them,
Yeah.
and that relationship should have never
Right.
gotten to the level and gone as far as it did.
Same.
And that's my fault.
Hmm.
I should, I didn't know better. But looking back, yeah, hindsight's 2020, but they were there and I ignored them.
Yeah.
And I felt
So
like I was a pretty strong, smart person, but
they are
mentally I really wasn't.
they are better at manipulating than you are at identifying those red flags.
Well, and they know who to go after.
Hmm.
They know,
They have a type.
right. Well, and I'm thinking of a friend of mine right now that's going through a really hard time, and she is a very strong, smart person, and she comes across very like, you just wouldn't think anyone's going to take advantage of her and mess with
Right.
her.
Don't take no
And
shit type of person.
right. And someone can look some way on the outside and be something totally different on the inside. And people can see that and they know that. And for one person, that might be too much for them. Another person, they may look at it as a challenge. I think some people also look at it like, how much can I break a person? And I'm talking about people who are just really like, they're just evil and messed up. But I think sometimes people are like that. They're like, how bad can I
How
break
far
this
can I push
person
it? Yeah.
down?
Hmm.
Yeah. But what do you think helped? Well, what do you think helps people from stop doubting their gut? Like I know I can think of when I stopped doubting my gut, but what do you think? Is there anything that helped you stop doubting it?
Uh, when I really kind of stepped out and looked back at the situation when I realized that my ex was cheating on me. That was that was when I stopped doubting myself, when I had physical proof and evidence to back up my thoughts
Hmm.
and knowing myself. Because like you said, I was a strong person, but I was being manipulated. I was being gaslit. And looking back at it, that was what helped me stop doubting myself,
Hmm.
was having that clear evidence to prove my points.
Right. And I think some people need clear evidence. Like they need to see the proof,
Hmm.
right? And sometimes you won't get that, and that should not prevent you from leaving. That should not be the thing that helps you stop doubting your gut, I feel like, because I know that wasn't necessarily like proof what wasn't help what helped me. It was really just the realization like I am not happy. I am go like mentally, I am struggling.
Yeah,
I am going down a bad road and I'm having bad thoughts. And I have other people who rely on me, who count on me. I have children. I can't live like this. And what type of example am I showing them?
you're
How am I showing them that this is a healthy love or that this is
yeah,
what relationships are supposed to look like or anything like that? Just for me, the
right.
realization, like,
Your
what are
kid
you doing?
your kids are going to see how you are in a relationship and sometimes mirror or mimic that
Mhm.
same pattern. So you really got to be careful with what you put up with in a relationship.
Yeah, I think you proof is great. When you can get that, sometimes it really is like that final piece, but sometimes it has to be you yourself being very honest. Self,
Mhm.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know?
And choose happiness. If you're sitting there questioning and you're unhappy all the damn time, time to leave. Time
Yeah.
to go
You dread
because
coming home or
you've
you
got
dread having a conversation with someone.
you've got to choose your own happiness and your own mental wellness.
Now, how can we heal from gaslighting? Healing from gaslighting isn't just leaving the relationship also. It's rebuilding your trust with yourself. Leaving first step, but rebuilding that trust with yourself, that's the main thing you can do with healing.
Right. And therapy for me was a game changer. This is where I had to come back to reality with my own self. And it's it was really for me a momentum builder for rebuilding my self-esteem and my confidence. But even just journaling your thoughts and rereading them later when you're just kind of sitting down, like you said, you
Yeah,
found your journals. Just rereading those and reanalyzing will help you realize that you weren't crazy. You were
right.
just manipulated.
Oh yeah, that's exactly when I went back and reread those. I'm like, I was not I was not crazy or
Right.
I did not do, I was just it was just him trying to manipulate me because he was insecure.
Yeah, you can start small, write down what you experienced in that moment, and surround yourself with people who affirm your reality, not question it.
Yeah.
Those are the people that you want around you, people that are going to tell you that you're not crazy.
Right. And give yourself grace. I mean, rewiring your brain after gaslighting takes time.
It
Don't think
does.
it's going to happen overnight. It's not. Give yourself some grace, give yourself time. You will get there.
You're learning every day, and you have to learn about yourself and learn about your own mental and physical well-being.
Right. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, wow, I think this is me, I need you to hear this very clearly, okay? You're not sensitive. You're not too sensitive, all right? You're not crazy, and you don't need to explain to people who keep hurting you. You don't need to keep providing them an explanation. They're the ones hurting you. They don't deserve or are owed anything.
Damn right. That's huge.
Hmm.
You just need one person to believe you. And sometimes that person is you. Let that person be you.
Right.
Let you believe in you because other people may not, and that's fine. But that person, that one person needs to be yourself.
Absolutely. You need to be the one that believes in you. You need to believe in you for all the other people in your life.
Hmm.
And this episode isn't just about identifying gaslighting, it's also about healing from it. And that starts when you decide, I don't have to prove my pain anymore. Send this to someone who needs it, someone who's been made to feel small, confused, or crazy. They need to hear this.
They definitely do. And if you're healing or you've healed, drop a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what helped you. You could be someone's lifeline. We hope this episode helped. Like and subscribe for more mental health content. We have all of our socials linked in the description below. Hit the follow, and we'll see you on the next one.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Are you looking for a brand that supports mental health? Find the Good brand. With Find the Good brand, they give back 10% of their profits to Mental Health America, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting mental health and well being right here in the United States.